Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for June 23rd, 2023. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Friday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES right now. What you'll notice here is price has sold off in the after hours reopen here yesterday afternoon. Prices basically pushed lower throughout the overnight and pre-market trade and is now sitting here below the previous session's low. So no easy pullback to the mid and bounce despite lower value with a bullish bias on the close here. We are now pushing through that mid and into the previous session's low and extending the down move here at the moment over the last 5 days from the pivot highs back here. Now what you'll see here is this market is now testing prices inside the bullish Pima trigger zone. That zone here has been bid during this up move. Now, any failure here, though, at the 43.80 zone. 43.80 is about the spot here where if it fails at that zone, we may be looking at a gap fill and a rotation back to 4300, and maybe we trade between 43 and 43.80. So that level's coming up right now. We're at 43.90. One thing to continue to watch is the previous session's low price. If there is a significant rejection in the 43.80s, perhaps a recovery of the previous session's low leads to a surprise rally to end the week here. Overall, 43.80 is going to be the key level to watch. If we take a look here at the NQ, you'll notice here the NQ continues to hold above the 15K level. 15K was the early level this week that we mentioned. If price drops into about 15K, we'll be looking for signs of rejection that could lead to a bounce back up. And we got a great failed new low off that level the previous session. It was about the low the day before. Failed new low yesterday with a great strong bullish finish. But here today we're seeing a very deep pullback against the midpoint of the previous session's range, now below the 8-period average. So this is a zone here where bulls really need to find an opportunity to find a rejection here. If so, we could bounce back up toward the upper end of the day's range, perhaps finishing bullish. So it could turn into a positive continuation to the upside. Did we see this type of pattern in the previous session? If so, then again, this early pullback needs to be defended this morning, and that could lead to more strength ahead. Otherwise, failure to hold 15K here and you start pushing through this pivot low, that starts to open up a return back to 14.6, the level down here, and that could be the next easy target up ahead if we can't hold that 15K. So continuing to watch this zone right now to see if we can find a rejection that could lead us higher the rest of the day. Otherwise, failure at 15K could open up 14.6 up ahead. Let's take a look here at crude oil. Crude oil right now trading lower by 2.3%. We're seeing this thing approach the 67s. We ended up seeing quite a decline here in crude in the previous session. A failed new high early on in the overnight, and prices dropped on the intraday. That is, stop run day to the downside. We had been within this range and then finishing the day outside that range and approaching 67s. That's one thing we talked about before, is that after strength we've been seeing heavy selling pressure, and we could be looking at a test at 67s up ahead. Now one thing we've noted is how the next move could be to the downside here. You know, we've seen prices compress here in a downtrend. The next move will tend to be down, and then you bounce back up within the range. Here we are again within this compression. The next move could be down, and then we bounce back up within the range. We've been trending within a channeling type of price action here, this channeling structure. And if we look at the structure here, one thing you'll notice again is how well defined it is. Very well defined range here. If we were to break right now to the downside, we could drop right here to the bottom of this channel and then make a move back up within the range down the way. So again, do we get a move downward? If so, this zone right here will be a high confluence zone right there around 56, 57, S3 on the yearly bands, CVPOC here, a key range target. A rejection there could lead us back up within the range, back to where we came from here, and also perhaps into the upper boundary of the range towards 75. So we could be looking at a pretty significant move up ahead, something that is in line with this type of price action here where you drop and then bounce back up within the range. So we'll see how that plays out. 67 the key level there. If we take a look here at gold, gold very strong here this morning, recovering the breakdown point at the 1940 edge. The previous session there was a failure through that level. Here's 1940 right there, big time edge. Failure through that level, bearish close. Not the biggest transition bar ever, but a highly bearish breakdown day. One thing we mentioned at the end of the day here in our trading room was if we open the RT8 session back above the midpoint, back above 1940, we're going to see MGR buy signals here in the ETF, GLD. That could lead to a day trade back up and perhaps even a swing recovery back up the range. So depending on how this thing plays out early this morning, any early pullback to begin the RT8 session could be a buying opportunity for a continuation higher up ahead. To close back above 1940 would be significant here for gold and could lead to again, a bounce back up within the range here as a failure has now failed to materialize. Lastly, taking a look at the YM. YM, pretty significant top here now and has rotated off that level for the last 5 days. Back to 34K. 34K, big time zone here near term. This is a zone here that, again, if bulls can keep this area bid and recover the previous session's low, you may stay between 34K and 34.9, perhaps 35K. A failure here at 34, and then you start to open up a rotation back down toward 33,315, and perhaps even a bit lower. So this is an important zone here. How's price going to respond to 34K? If we can find a rejection, can push back above the previous lows here, we could open up a little bit of a bounce back up ahead. Otherwise, failure there, and you're rotating back down the range. 33.5, 33.3 would be the next targets below. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the weekend. Again, happy Friday. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.